All right, Nick. Top 9. Always good when you come into the top of the ninth. 7-2. Cincinnati Reds. Been praying for days like today. Been begging for days like today.
Well, that'll work. That'll help.
7 runs helps, Nick. That's good.
I already saw an out, so I guess I need to pause it.
No, you know what? I mean, we're up 5. I feel like we're in a position here where, we'll pause it. I mean, if you're going to get one pitch, one out, we'll just keep it moving.
Like it.
We'll keep it moving. Boy, I'll tell you what. Making some waves on the X.com app tonight.
You are?
Yep.
What'd you start?
Well, mentioned that I wasn't all that impressed with the Reds baseball crowd tonight. There's some people that weren't happy about that.
How dare you have an opinion on that?
Got a base hit. Where are you at? Are you like a pitch ahead still, or are you still waiting on the next hitter to get a pitch?
Yeah, I didn't put that update. I'm at 8, 7, 6.
I'm not.
Let me know. Countdown for the first pitch to Kyle Farmer.
After the first pitch?
I'm positive 5.
Oh, on the first pitch. Okay. All right. Alex Young just asked for a new baseball. He's towing the rubber. How you're this far ahead of me, I just never understand that. Just can't. My brain won't fathom that. You know what's wild is I can't even do that. I'm sorry. Fast forward to live. I can't even do that. You know why? Because your boy turned on FS1 today.
Oh.
I just like the new graphic. I needed something different. I mean, no offense to Bally.
I can't do the announcers.
Yeah, they're not very good. I mean, I must admit, but it's just the cameras. Maybe they use the same cameras. I don't know.
Not only are they not very good, they're not in the stadium. Like I'm not supporting that kind of garbage.
Oh, you're sticking to the man.
Huge baseball game. You're gonna put this on FS1. Send your broadcasters in person. Don't be cheap. Okay. You're gonna be cheap. You're not getting my patronage.
Man. Chat is popping. Who's your daddy? I am very happy vintage Joey Votto clunched up. I mean, listen, this is what I hate the most about Twitter, and that's what I hate the most about like social media. Is that as soon as you mention that something should happen, you automatically hate the other guy. Why can't I just like CES? Why can't I just like the fact that I think there's other options on the bench that are probably going to produce in a spot similar to that one better? That's all it is. Like, I've literally almost gotten into fist fights at bars saying Joey Votto is the best hitter in Reds history before. It's not like I don't like the guy. That's a ridiculous statement. But to sit here and objectively tell me that 2 different times in this game hitting against a left-handed pitcher he was the best option that they had at the time, we're just never going to agree. And I'm not even trying to argue about it. You know why? Because the Cincinnati Reds are playing meaningful baseball on September 18th, 2023, and the score's 7-2. At least it is on my screen. It might not be 7-2 on your screen.
It's not. I've already updated it.
Oh, no. Well, all right. We're going to have to sync up now. Ball rolls to the wall, gets cut off by Ellie.
It doesn't matter. Don't show me the replays that you're on a different stream. So I'll tell you when I see the first pitch, and I'll pause it right after. That's the only way we're gonna be able to sync this bad boy up.
Okay.
All right. I just saw the first pitch to Kurloff in for a strike. So let me know when you see the pitch thrown. The first pitch.
I'll let you know when the pitch is thrown, so you can hit play, and that way you might be a smidge ahead of me. All right, guys, leading off second. He's got to be close to pitching. Here he goes. Pitches, strike.
All right. Close enough to party.
Catches the ball. All right.
All right.
All right. Big strike. Nice. It's a good spot for Alex Young, too, by the way. Kind of get his feet wet a little bit here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's nice that you have this opportunity for sure.
Especially in a situation where you win. Very much could have been the opposite idea. There we go. Yep, nice. Got 2 of them. 2 of them. If you're wondering how many, that's 2 of them. Nick, you doing all right, man?
Yeah, just trying to get things caught up here. These 6:40 starts are satanic.
Gotcha. You got that. You got house things going on.
No, I'm trying to have our show be halfway decent.
Okay, well, it's gonna be halfway decent just because the Reds win. That's half the show.
Well, it's not.
That's true. You're right. That's a mistake on me. That's a mistake on me.
Let's not. So we have I'm gonna hold off on that too.
Okay.
Are
we just gonna turn into? Are we gonna turn into a jinx show? Is that what this is?
I didn't say it. I stopped myself. I cannot be held liable.
We're gonna go full-fledged, just idiot mode. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it all the time. So usually, I look for the guy to balance me out. I usually look for the guy that tells me that I'm just overreacting. But you're just gonna paddle the boat right along with me. It sounds like, which I'm fine with. I like an out. It's 2 strikes, Nick. Is there anything more like cliche, which I guess it's fine to say on a broadcast, but is there anything more like it's coming when a team's down to their final strike, the announcer says that?
Boom.
What a big win, Nick. What a big win, man. Golly day. I mean, I know it's not super exciting because you win 7-3, but like that is massive, dude.
Huge. I mean, this was the biggest underdog game of the entire rest of the season, and you just got it done. All right, so Trace, here's what I didn't want to jinx. All right, So here's the situation.
Oh, here we go.
Here's the situation. Oh, I'd have that. I forgot to take this double off. All right, so here's the situation. We're in the top of the 9th. Marlins Mets. Do we want to ride out the 9th inning? It's about to start and then start the show, because I'm going to have a hard time focusing. It's up to you.
I'll tell you what I'll give you. I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me ask you this: the Mets are at home.
The Mets are on the road.
They're on the road, so the Mets are hitting now.
Yeah, the Mets are about to come to bat. Do you want to watch the top of the 9th?
There's only one way to do this. There's only one way to really do this. Here's what I think should happen. We'll do a poll. We're going to go start, when should we start this show? ? I'm going to say now, top or bottom 9 of, we're going to call it the Mets game because that's what we're going to call it. And we're going to say after Mets game. Okay, here we go. Yeah. We're gonna give this poll for those that are curious. We're gonna give this 2 minutes. It's 3 minutes. It's 8:57 on my computer clock, and the chat is gonna let us know what they want to do within the next 3 minutes.
All right.
And within the next 3 minutes, that event might start. But so where are we at right now with this?
I'll set it up. So we're top 9. First batters at the plate for the New York Mets, Jeff McNeil against Tanner Scott. And McNeil hits a drive. That ball is out of here. I think we made the right call, Trace. I think we made the right call. Are you kidding me?
How do we? This is something for next season. Clearly, because we just did not plan on this. We need to figure out a way to get game cast trackers, like literally game trackers in this.
I got the scoreboard on here.
I know, but I'm saying I don't.
Ready to go.
Oh man, I'll tell you what we could do. Hold on, you're gonna have to make me do some real winning now.
Oh my God, Jeff McNeil, Jeff Ruby, free steak. Hook him up.
All right.
Well, so we're finishing the game. Well, we're at least finishing.
We'll at least finish this half inning, at least.
If they're leading, we gotta watch the bottom of the 9th.
Oh my gosh! Listen to Nick just bully us. Nick's bullying his way through. He's bullying his way through what we're doing. Listen to him.
I just bully my well to that Jeff McNeil home run, and you know it.
All right. There's some people tuning in right now that are wondering what the hell is going on. For those that don't know, the Mets just just hit a home run to give themselves a lead after Nick was debating what we should do in regards to this. This is a big.
Let me pull it. So this is where it stands at the moment. So the Reds would jump ahead of the Marlins by a half game. If the Marlins win, they jump ahead of the Reds by a half game. And the Reds, if this score holds, hold the tiebreaker. They're in the playoffs if it started tomorrow, if the Mets can hang on.
Yeah.
Adam Ottavino warming up.
I'm doing my best here in real time, people. Doing my best in real time. There's one thing on this software that's just, I don't like it, but whatever. Have to deal with it, I guess.
What a moment. To kind of keep this moving, Trace, I have an idea. In between innings, we could do our deep drive of the day.
Yeah, I'm also going to try to do something here.
Okay, all right.
I think I can get this done. All right. We are going to do... Nick, do me a favor. Clear the lower thirds on our names, please. This is like real-time producing, people. Sorry. And clear our social bugs. All right.
I think I got another one here.
All right. Give me a second, people. I'm doing my best, okay? This is not the easiest thing to do in the world. In real time, this is not what the doctor ordered. But why it highlights that, I don't know. I'll never know. I need to go more that way, and I need to go up for the people. This is what we need right here. Is that what we want, people? All right. I think that's what we want. I like that you have Jack McMullen in there too, by the way.
Oh, that didn't go on top of that?
No. Just put just change it. Just change it to Mets versus Marlins.
Let's change it to.
All right. I'm back. I'm back and focused.
There we go.
This is a big deal. I'm gonna explain why this is a big deal. I know Nick is locked in right now. This is a big deal because the Marlins are the one team that we just can't afford to keep winning baseball games. We just can't do it. They hold basically legitimately every tiebreaker known to man. And on top of that, there's only two teams we don't hold tiebreakers from. That's the Giants and the Marlins. If those two teams can stumble, this Reds team can probably get to 85 wins as long as the Marlins and the Giants don't get to 85, which one would suggest they probably will. But let's just say they don't. This Reds team's going to get in the postseason. So here we are. Mets v. Marlins.
We have Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos at the plate against Scott. We got a runner on first, one out. We got a 2-2 count.
Fair enough.
Chatterbox Mets.
From Ricky Logan. Good call on that.
Hey,
good call on that.
Mets played the Marlins 6 times, so we are. I might order a Mets shirt, especially if they can.
Well, do you know who else has been fantastic for us? The Rockies.
Yeah.
We owe some gratitude to Denver as well. So shout out to Denver. Very, very thankful to them. So we have one on with one out, 1 run in. Breaking out the strawberry jersey, says John Taylor. Let's have some fun, chat. We're just gonna have to have some fun in here for a minute until we get on to the show. I know that okay, Scott says it's a little confusing. It's tough. It does look like the home team's at the bottom, but it's just tough. It's tough to do in real time. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. What do we got? First and second. Right. 1 out.
First and second.
It's just tough. There's a lot going on. We didn't plan this show. If we're being completely honest, okay, we the same thing that happened to Nick Kroll happened to us. We were a little ahead of schedule, right? We didn't put in the cards, or we didn't plan that we were going to be watching Marlins versus Mets on September 18th. Okay, I mean, I know that's not a good enough excuse, but that's where we're at. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to put this game on TV because I'm going to be ahead of it on here, but I don't care. I want to see.
Trace, there was also a huge spot in this game earlier when the game was tied at 1. Jorge Soler at the plate hit a home run on the field, they called a home run. And then they overturned it on the field. The Marlins challenged it,
Yeah.
and it was called stands. Would have made it a 3-1 ball game. So a huge break. It looked foul, but it was kind of one of those
Whatever they call
where
it.
it was like it was over the foul pole, so you couldn't really get a definitive look. I
Right.
think it was foul, but I don't know why they don't use technology for that. It seems like it would kind of make sense to have technology that could tell you if it's a home run or not.
Lasers, like somehow laser system.
Well, they have the technology, but they don't use it apparently.
Huh. Well, that's good.
I think it's Hawkeye data or something, but nonetheless, it was a huge break for the Reds. Could have been a disaster. But our hero, Jose Butto, only one run allowed. It's the second straight big start he had because he made a start against the Diamondbacks and dominated them. Jose Butto, Butto.
Well, I'm loving
Legend.
My MLB TV app just froze because that's.
No, you got Nick Kirby telling you exactly what's going on. I don't know what you need here, bro.
Yeah, well, I like
Come on,
it, but
Francisco. Oh, that hit him? No.
That didn't hit him. I love how I'm just going to stare at a screen. And the fact that, you know how you got a lot of people in here that just love baseball in general? I mean, we're sitting at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on a Monday, and we got 350 in here just watching the Mets Marlins. If you like to gamble responsibly, of course, 21 plus in Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But if you're really feeling froggy, just I don't know, toss a little money on the Mets here real quick. It probably isn't paying all that well, considering they're up by a run in the ninth.
Maybe put some money on them to put another run on.
There you go. Yeah, maybe you play the over/under game. It's probably sitting at 3.5.
We got a can of corn.
I mean, the MLB app is like ahead of the game. It's almost like they updated.
You know what I did, Trace, for StreamYard is I put it into the 3D mode because we found that the 3D mode. The 3D mode was close. It's gonna be really hard to get in that like window because it's
I know.
A wide thing, but that was very helpful. I could actually kind of stay somewhat focused. All right, Brandon Nimmo at the plate. We got 2 on, 2 outs. Mets leading 2-1, top 9. A little left on left here. This pitcher that the
Thomas.
This pitcher the Mets scored on has been outstanding of late. Took over their closer role. Marlins traded for David Roberts at the deadline. He got hurt and wasn't very good. They went to this guy Scott, and he's been outstanding for them. So Mets getting a run off him is very great to see.
This guy's throwing 99 miles an hour, lefty on lefty. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Nemo is one of the decent left on left hitters in the sport.
I mean, 99 mile an hour is 99 miles an hour.
All right, you want to do the deep drive of the day?
Yeah. I'd be more than happy to do the deep drive of the game.
Let's do that. We're between innings, folks.
All right. It's the deep drive of the game presented by Deep South Commodities. There's only really one deep drive, and it wasn't the first one he hit because that one got robbed. But the second one from Will Benson was a towering shot, 408 feet for those that care, 103.5 off the bat because we appreciate decimals around here, 28 degrees, and the win probability jumped up 18.5%, giving the Reds a win probability of 85.1% at that very moment. It gave the Reds a 4-1 lead, and they would not look back as they would defeat the Minnesota Twins 7-2. The deep drive of the game is sponsored by Deep South Commodities. Everyone loves DSC. DSC is a leader, just like Jonathan India. That's what they are. They are just like Jonathan India. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com. That's www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks to our friends at Deep South Commodities, John and the gang there. They appreciate us, they support us, and we appreciate them. So if you know how this goes, you know how it goes. You like the stream, you just open up another tab real quick, click deepsouthcommodities.com, give us a little hit there, make them feel appreciated, and we'll keep it moving. So here we are. We're headed to the bottom of the ninth. The Mets 2. The Marlins 1. Let's see if we can't hold on. Also, real quick, I do think it's who was it? Gosh, this chat. I'll tell you what, it's hard to keep up anymore with the chat. Who asked me? I think Thomas asked me what I was going to do if the Reds made the playoffs. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you right now what I'm going to do. You got to give me a minute.
All right, we've come back from commercial break. In Miami, Florida, their crowd looks about like the Reds looks tonight. Not a deal.
I am going to smoke this. It'll be the first cigar I've ever smoked, and I'm gonna smoke it and probably blow it right into the face of all of you. Out of respect, of course. That's not out of depreciation. It's just out of appreciation for all of you. We're gonna throw some kind of party. I mean, that's a serious thing. I'm just telling you, we're gonna throw a party. Where it is, what it's gonna be, I have no idea, but we'll figure it out. We'll find a way. We got loudspeakers, we got a big television, and we'll find some beverages for people to consume if needed as well. No free ads. All right, Nick, you know what I always say? Let's just throw strikes. That'd be nice.
Yep. All right, Adam Ottavino on the mound facing Josh Bell.
Josh Bell, 2 for 3 with a walk in his career against Adam Ottavino.
There we go.
Why isn't
There's one.
There's one out. Okay, well, I just realized that the damn game day is so far ahead of my TV screen that I was wondering why there wasn't a pitch on the screen. Turns out they already had Josh Bell out. So we got one away. We got one of them, chat.
All right, Jazz Chisholm coming to the plate.
This guy's been playing pretty well of late. Pretty well of late.
Grand slam yesterday.
Yeah, he's been hot. Been hotter than a firecracker, as they say. Who do you think came up with that term? Hotter than a firecracker.
Can't say that I've sat there and pondered that.
Well, you got to think about it.
I like it. I like your...
Oh, no.
So let's do a little updating.
Did Nick Kirby die? He might be dead, people.
Oh, no.
You might just have to go. You'll be all right. You might just have to plug it in, let it charge for a minute.
I'm pretty sure I turned it on tonight.
Well, maybe
the charger wasn't in or something.
It'll be all right. The only thing I don't like about the way it works for you is there's not a screenshot. Don't you think, chat? It's the screenshots sometimes are the best. Sometimes the screenshots are better than the live image. Sometimes. The other thing that I love about all this is that, there he is. There's the man. He's found a way. That's thinking on the fly right there, Nick. That is using your big brain power. I know what you just did right there, and that's big brain thinking.
Let's turn this off for a second.
All right, strikes. Chat, strikes. We need strikes, guys. Strikes. Boom! Big outs. We got 2 of them if you're counting. If you're counting them, we got 2 of them. Right. We're not going to count how many more we need. We're just going to tell everybody how many we have. That's 2 of them. Who's your daddy saying I'm a little late? I don't even know what that means.
I think we're way behind the game cast.
We're way behind the game cast? Isn't the game cast like directly on here, or is there a delay that it's going through the system?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm sure everyone's ahead of my DirecTV stream.
Well, I know that. Yeah, I know that. I know my TV's behind because I can see it. Okay, let's finish this here. Nick, lock it in, Nick. Come on. Lock it in. I know you're all worried and stuff, all that.
Strike.
Quit worrying about that camera.
Strike. He went.
See, did you hear that? He's down to his final strike. I heard the announcer. Boom!
Way to ruin it for me.
Boom!
Let me see the moment.
Boom! Boom, Nick!
Boom. How about that? There it is. Your Reds are in the playoffs if it ended today, folks.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable, chat. Unbelievable. All right. The poll, if you were wondering, 47% said after the Mets game. That's pretty much what we just did. Here's the deal. What do we got to do, Nick? What time is it?
It's time to do a show.
It's time to do a show. Nick, I don't know how many more of those we need, my man. But we're getting close. We're getting close. I don't know if you can taste it. I don't know if you can feel it. I don't know what you need to do right now, but the Cincinnati Reds are right there. They are right there. I mean, when I say they're right there, Nick, I want you to know they are right at the doorstep. If they kick it down, it's going to be this week. They can kick it down this week. You take care of the Mets, you take care of the lowly Pirates, and you're in. You're in. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me if they don't win the next 6 games. Well, 5 at this point. They're not in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 5 wins away from probably getting in. I mean, it all depends on what happens elsewhere, but another good night for the Reds. They've had a lot of them here over the last week.
I just got delivered to drink. This is like service. You know what? You know how powerful this Reds team is, people. Let me tell you how powerful this Reds team is. After about a couple weeks doing this, you know, the family, the kids, the wife, they're like, oh man, you got to do a show every night, like this, that, and the other. And then the Reds start winning some games. And then everybody in the house is watching the games or getting excited. Then all of a sudden, the 3-year-old saying Ellie, because it's easy to say, okay. If it was something that I could do, she would say Martini, of course. But you know, of all the things, I just got delivered. I think I don't even know what this is. What is this, Nick? I think it's a Martini. Now I know he didn't play. I know he's worthless. But let's not forget about him. Let's not forget about him. Okay, I'm just saying we're going to treat everybody with respect around here. We're going to treat everyone with respect around here. I have no idea what that is. It could be just lemonade. I have no idea. But anyways, Nick, for the podcast's sake, I'm going to start this show now for you. Okay, you ready for this? All right, Nick, welcome into another winning edition of Chatterbox Reds. Reds win 7-3. Nick, I guess overall, just how you feeling? Let's start there. How are you feeling, Nick?
I'm feeling great, Trace. This was a great day for the Reds. This was probably, if you look at the schedule, the toughest game on the schedule for the Reds the rest of the season. And Connor Phillips was outstanding. Reds offense put up bunch of runs against a pretty solid pitcher. And then the Reds finally got some help by a team playing the Marlins. If Marlins, seem to not be great against anyone except for the Atlanta Braves of late. So
It's true. If I was a Braves fan, I'd be a little concerned right now, for being completely honest. This is the last time, or the last part of the year that you're, or the wrong part of the year is the word I'm looking for here, to not be playing your best baseball, but that's here nor there. Nick, we have a super chat right off the rip. We have 2 super chats. This chat is ridiculous. You guys are elite. We can't tell you. Oh my gosh, we have 1 billion super chats. I mean, I look away and it's Rainbow Forest over here. It's just Rainbow Road, Candyland, Mario Kart. You know you like Mario Kart, Nick Kirby. I know you like Mario Kart, and I know you like Rainbow Road. Molly says, chat, do not put down my Votto tonight. Molly doesn't like the Pampers little section of the ballpark, but she does love Joey Votto. I love Joey Votto too. We're going to get this thing straight tonight. We're going to have a heart-to-heart chat. We're going to talk. Man to man, man to woman, man to they. Ricky Logan says Chatterbox Mets with a question mark. We got to that a little bit earlier. Big Corey says, Trace, there aren't any fans at Marlins games either. Well, that's because Miami, we all know, isn't a baseball town, is it? We'll talk about that later in the show as well. Jeremy Ward says, hey, you messed up the Reds record. Hey, I'll tell you what, we have the best editors in the world in this chat. They are the best. They see something wrong, they let us know. We love that out of them. Also, that's the first super chat from Jeremy Ward. I want everybody to know that. Thank you, Jeremy. Mark Fetter says, Benson and Phillips, let's go. I'll tell you, Joey Votto, let's go. I got something to say about Joey Votto in a minute, but by God, you have no idea how mad I was at Tyler Stevenson. And then Joey Votto just pulled me right back out of hell. Ricky Logan said this chat said we was dead. We're not dead. Big Corey with a bomb super chat said 6 to 7 more wins left. Sending luck to make that happen. We need all the luck we can get in Jedwa. Jed WVA, I think. That's what he wants. That's what it is. With a 20 bomb super chat. First super chat of him. And Ricky Logan again with just peppering super chats. Marte's hitting 409 in September. FYI. Unbelievable. Jedwa, if you have something you want us to say, my man, and you didn't know how to do it in the chat, you just fire all caps away a couple different times in the chat, and hopefully I'll see it. We'll get to it, all right? But nonetheless, Nick, I guess where do we start? Do we just do the box score recap right off the rip? We get into a whole bunch of things. I don't know where to start. I have a couple different random topics to get into. Certainly the attendance is one of them. I kind of want to clarify what I meant and what I was saying there in that tweet. I think some people took it the wrong way. Some people took it exactly the way that I meant it. I'll clear that up. And then obviously the Votto thing, I'd like to have a discussion about that. I think it's a fair and reasonable and rational discussion. I think it's a fun discussion, to be honest. And before we get into all that, obviously down the rundown here really quickly, we have Connor Phillips, Benson in the Reds offense, Renfroe DFA'd. Nick has inside sources, guys. Like he says they're going to do one thing and then the next day they do it, okay? Like it's almost like he knows somebody. He's like, I think we should do this. And then next thing you know, the next day they do that. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just smart. Up next in the NL wildcard. We'll get to that later in the show. Nick, first, we can do the box score recap if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, Reds, Twins, last remaining team above 500 for the Reds. Reds got off to a good start. Bottom of the second, Tyler Stevenson walked. Then Joey Votto snuck a single through the infield. And Noelvi Marte singled into the left center field gap, put the Reds up 1-0. Then Will Benson crushed a fastball 405 feet, but Michael A. Taylor robbed Benson of a potential 3-run home run, and the Reds had to settle for a sac fly, 2-0 Cincinnati. Bottom of the fourth, Noelvi Marte walked, and then Will Benson did not miss a home run this time. He had a 408-foot blast to center field, 4-1 Reds. And then Connor Phillips was absolutely electric. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Only 2 runs that he allowed were 2 solo home runs. Couldn't ask for much more than Connor Phillips on this night. And then the bottom of the 7th, Reds played some add-ons. Spencer Steer's 3rd hit of the night put the Reds up 5-2. Steer getting 3 hits against the team that dumped him last summer. Stevenson grounded into a double play with the bases loaded, but Joey Votto picked up not only Tyler Stevenson, but maybe his manager, David Bell, who let Joey bat for a second time left on left against Dallas Keuchel. Votto smoked a single 101 off the bat to make it a 7-2 lead, and that was a huge hit because it allowed the David Bell and the Reds to rest some of their top relievers. Derek Law pitched a very efficient scoreless eighth, and then Alex Young got reacclimated to the program with in the ninth inning. He gave up one run, but it didn't matter. Reds pull it off. Reds get the win, and with the Marlins just losing, your Cincinnati Reds are now tied with the Cubs for the third and final wild card spot. Reds, of course, hold the tiebreaker over the Cubs. So if the playoffs ended today, the Reds would be in and the Cubs would be out. Hey, I didn't even realize that, Trace. The Cubs would be out. What a nice perk. How about that?
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you lose like 7 of your last 9 games. You lose 2 or 3 to the was it 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 to the Rockies? I can't even remember at this point. I'm not sure. And then you come back in HD. You're a magic man. You're a magic man. All right, let's talk about Connor Phillips really quickly. And by really quickly, as long as we want. Because you know why? We don't have any time restraints on this show, okay? Connor Phillips is a guy that has elite level stuff. We've heard it all along. Is he ready for the big leagues? I think me and you both kind of agree that he's probably not ready for the big leagues, if people can follow along what we're trying to say. He has the stuff to be able to get guys out and be successful in the big leagues. The question is he going to be consistent enough to be a big league arm on a consistent basis? I don't know if that's the answer, or I just don't know if that's true yet. But tonight he proved he has every bit of ability to go. 7 innings is impressive, Nick. I mean, that's I thought 5 innings was going to be great. He got to 6, and I was like, okay, now we're just kind of stealing from a baby. And he got 7, and he looked good the whole way through, too. And shout out to David Bell. For those that think that he has a quick hook, and for those that think that, no matter what, he just pulls guys way too early, tonight, this was a telltale sign, in my opinion, of the way David Bell managed this, of how thin the Reds are in regards to pitching. Because I think when he gave up that second home run, I think the old David Bell that had maybe a little bit longer season, if you will, and a little more arms at his disposal, he would have made a decision to pull him. He didn't. Now, I get it. He only had like 80 pitches or 70, 78, 79 pitches at the time. But he left him in, and to give Phillips some credit, didn't rattle him at all. And in fact, he almost looked as good as he's looked all night as he left the game. So, your overall impressions of Connor, and I guess how big of an outing that truly was. I don't know if we really can fully appreciate it yet.
Just a huge outing from Connor Phillips. I mean, you feel pretty confident about now. He's probably got to make 2 more starts, and you're kind of like, hey, this guy. I mean, are we now like as crazy as it sounds talking about Connor Phillips maybe starting Game 3 of a postseason series? Like that's kind of where we're at. The most impressive thing, 18 of the 26 batters that he faced, he threw a first pitch strike. And if you followed Connor Phillips at all through the minors, he had, I believe, 6 starts where he had to leave the game early because he hit that 35 pitch in an inning limit. And so he had a ton of starts where he didn't make it out of like the second inning. Like he had 4 starts in the minor leagues. He didn't make it out of the second inning. 1 start, he didn't make it out of the first, and another, he didn't make it out of the third. And these weren't injuries. These were because he just, so for him to come out and be as pitch efficient as he was just awesome to see. Obviously we're all about trying to get to the playoffs right now, but this is incredible development for Connor Phillips to get this experiment, to get this confidence that going into 2024, hey, I could throw 7 shutout innings against a team that's going to the playoffs, right? I mean, that's awesome. So, I don't – it's probably a little much to say, the Reds major league coaching staff got in his ear. Probably a little bit of that, but I imagine they said, hey, look, your stuff is incredible. Like, if you give up 5 home runs, you give up 5 home runs. Just don't go out there and walk anyone. And that's what he did tonight. I mean, he only walked 1 batter in 7 innings. Like, this was a guy who was walking like 5 batters per 9 in the minors. So for him to come out and do that is incredible for not only the Reds, but for him and his development, and really kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone with that.
Yeah, I was going to make that point. I mean, listen, he gave up 2 home runs, and they were both solo shots, right? If those were 2 or 3 run home runs apiece, this is a whole different conversation. It's a whole different ball game. And the reason why they weren't maybe 2 or 3 run home runs is because what you said. You didn't walk anybody. You made guys earn their way on base, and more times than not, as much as we want to act like if you throw a middle fastball, it's going to get a hit out of the ballpark every single time. The truth is, if you throw the ball over the plate, you're going to get guys out more times than not, especially when you have the stuff of a Connor Phillips. It's not easy to hit 97, 98 mile-an-hour fastballs. I don't care, who you are. Quick super chat. Big Corey says, watch party on clinch night. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be tough to figure out because you don't know the clinch night. There's so many damn teams. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be ridiculous. All right, let's get into
one second. Can I say something else about Phillips? There's
By
a really
all-
good question.
by all
Really good
means.
question in the chat about is he postseason eligible? So, from my understanding, typically a player to just automatically be able to be on the postseason roster, you have to be on the 40-man roster by September 1st. However, there is an exception where players can be approved if there was an injury. The fact that the Reds have Graham Ashcraft and Nick Lodolo on the 60-man IL makes me think that Connor Phillips would get approved because he was in the Reds organization. It's not like the Reds tried to, pull one over on the league and, take someone off waivers on September 15th. This was a guy that was in the organization. I'm assuming that he would get approved, but he would need special approval. But there's been a lot of examples of times where that's happened. So I would assume he would be eligible for the postseason.
Yeah, he has to be. I mean, this isn't the Reds actually trying to get around something. He has to be. Also, another crazy thing. Am I crazy to think that the Reds pulled another phantom IL stint
with Harrison Bader?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, I laid it out yesterday. I promise.
How many times can you get away with this? Is this like an okay thing? Like, does the Major League Baseball just don't care or what?
I don't know why the Players Association would care because the guy's still getting like his big league check.
Yeah, I'm talking about Major League Baseball, like the front office, not the MLB, not the PA.
Yeah, I don't think they really care as long as the players aren't. As long as the players aren't upset about it. But like, if you're Harrison Bader, do you really want to go get DFA'd in middle of September? You can't go get on another postseason team,
right?
Like,
no, that's fair.
You go sit for a week. Maybe they send you. One thing I don't know is can they, if the Chattanooga Lookouts advance next week, can you go to Double-A on a rehab
get a rehab?
in a postseason game? Can you imagine being a Double-A pitcher? I got to face Harrison Bader in a postseason game.
Yeah, it's funny. RM, I think, just said it's interesting they chose Bader over Renfroe. I don't think that's not even hard to figure out. RM. I mean, listen, Bader provides speed. Speed can help on the base paths, pinch run, and on top of that, he's elite defensively. Elite. So you always, at worst case scenario with Bader, you can stick him out in the outfield as a defensive replacement towards the end of the game, and that's what you're going to get. And on top of that, you can say whatever you want. He has been terrible at the plate. I'm not trying to defend him by any stretch of the imagination, but Harrison Bader is good against lefties. He's been good against lefties. His splits show that he's been good against lefties. It's just a matter of coming around. I know people don't want to listen to that and say that, but let's talk about the offense because I think that's something that I've just been absolutely begging for. And you've heard me say this how many times, Nick? I know the other day I was begging for 7 runs, 7 runs or more, and 7 runs or more. It's just finally nice to see a night where I don't want to say that this team still got themselves in a position where this is the best that they can do because it's not, but this is what they're capable of doing. They have good enough hitters, in my opinion, to score 5, 6, 7 runs a night consistently. It just hasn't happened, and maybe it'll happen. And everybody wants to look at the Marlins and how good that how good their starting pitching is. Nick, the reason the Marlins have gone on this hot streak in this stretch is because of their offense. If you look at the scores, you look at the games, their offense has been really, really good this last stretch of baseball, and that's what I feel like the Reds have to do to be able to probably push through and find themselves a spot in the playoffs. And tonight they did it. And it's just nice to see, and it was good to see Will Benson obviously continue to be what we all hope he can be. And he's shown at times this year, I don't want to say a ceiling because that would maybe be a little bit of a detriment to Will. I think maybe he could be better than we've seen before. He certainly can, but we've seen what he's capable of doing, and there for a short amount of time it kind of went away, and maybe tonight kind of gets him back on track. I don't know your overall thoughts on just the Reds offense and Will in general.
I would start with, I think the performance tonight by the Reds offense was outstanding.
Yes, it was.
When you score 4 earned runs against Joe Ryan, I know probably a lot of people don't know who Joe Ryan is if you just follow the Reds. He's in the American League. This is a really, really good pitcher that has a really good track record. He came into the start absolutely rolling. He had a 2.75 ERA over his last 4 starts. He only walked 5 batters, struck out 24. So this is a pitcher that came in pitching well. And a couple of those starts, Tampa Bay, Texas, and then Cleveland. So 3 of the 4 teams that he played are very, very good teams. So, for the Reds offense, I thought tonight was an outstanding effort against a pitcher that is a really good pitcher. And that was huge. And then Will Benson, what a night. The first one robbed, and then just, next at bat, you jump right back out and hit another one. He's been awesome. You can't say enough good things about Will Benson. And Will Benson embodies this Reds team as much as anyone. Guy that started this year as bad as you possibly could. He went down to AAA. He worked on his craft. He came back up, and he's been one of the Reds' best players since. And just what an awesome year for Will Benson.
Yeah, and he's a guy that, listen, rightfully so. I'm not here to downplay how bad of a start it was. It was a really bad start for Will Benson. And I think, what I can point to and what I want to remind people of right now is the same thing that happened to Will Benson at the beginning of this year has happened to Elly De La Cruz right now. Sometimes in baseball, you can just get yourself in a position where you oversell, you press, you try really hard, and it just doesn't work in your favor. And the fact of the matter is Will Benson is in a spot that he got out of that funk and he started playing good baseball and he got confident. And not to turn this into an Elly segment because that's not my goal here, but I think that is a little bit of what Elly's doing right now. And unfortunately, right now, we need Elly to play better. There's no doubt about it. But it is nice to see, again, to get back on track here, it is nice to see the offense put themselves in a position to have big innings. It was such a devastating double play that Tyler Stevenson hit into. I can't explain to you how big of a hit that is for Joey Votto. If you didn't watch this game, I said Joey Votto should have gotten pinch hit for his previous at-bat against a left-hander, and Votto obviously got out, and Votto's splits are what they are, okay? And Votto's in a position where I thought he could have got taken out of the game. He didn't. He then comes up again, Nick, against another left-handed pitcher. And when I tell you that Tyler Stevenson grounded that double play, and I see Joey Votto walk up to the plate, I just can't believe it. I could not believe that he was going to get another opportunity against a left-hander. And sure enough, this is what I tweeted. I said that, under any logical sense at all, it makes no sense. There's no rational mind that would tell you that Joey Votto in that situation was the best option you had. Maybe if you want to convince me that he plays defense at first base at a level that you feel good about, that's the reason you want to keep him in, okay, I'll buy the argument a little bit. But my main point is that we all know over the course of time that's not the best option. But you know what? To David Bell's credit, he got rewarded by the baseball gods, because I do think, Nick, here's the thing. There is something to be said. This is a tough spot David Bell finds him in, because there is something to be said about having a Hall of Fame guy that has a lot of experience going to the plate in a big-time moment over a guy that's only been in the big leagues for a couple months. There is something intangible there. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not true. That is why sports, in and of itself, and watching sports is why at least why I love it, is because you can't predict what's going to happen. You can't sit there and assume that this is the way it's supposed to go. And Joey Votto, for all intents and purposes, I'll say it, he got the biggest hit of that game. Now, yes, I understand there was a ton of other big hits. I'm not here to downplay what Will Benson did. I'm not here to downplay Jonathan India's at bats. I'm not here to downplay Friedel getting on, moving India from first to third, Marte's big hit. I'm not downplaying any of those. But that was, to me, the biggest hit of the night because of the momentum that it allowed the Reds to continue to have. And Tyler Stevenson, I'm not going to crush him, but you're in a spot there where you got the bases loaded, and really the last thing that you could do there, Nick, was just hit a ball on the ground. You got to find a way to lift a baseball in that spot, and I know hitting's a lot easier said than done, but I'm just telling you, I can't find, and I'm curious of your opinion here, I can't find a bigger hit in this game than the one that Joey Votto got right after the double play ball by Tyler Stevenson. And I know the game ended 7-3, Nick. I get it. I get all that. But it just felt monumental.
It was a huge hit because Ian Jabot was warming up. So pretty much you clearly saved Ian Jabot and probably Alexis Diaz. I can't imagine if it's a 2-run game it would have been a 5-run game, but nonetheless, I can't imagine Alexis Diaz wouldn't pitch in the ninth. So, yeah, it was a huge hit. There's a lot of managerial decisions today that I didn't like. I'm happy they won. I'm happy that really Connor Phillips was the main story. I don't like going away with a lot of what got us to this point, but I'm happy Joey came through. That was a huge moment for him, and all the props in the world to him for having a second at bat, seeing Keuchel the first time, and then being able to put a really good swing on there. CES is tough, man. I don't know how he's not in this lineup. And he scores 7 runs. It's hard to complain about a guy not being in the lineup. But the one thing that might kind of get David Bell off the hook here in a tough situation is Jake Fraley. Jake Fraley 0 for 3 tonight. No hard hit balls. 4 for his last 23. So he had 2 really good games coming back. And then since then, that third game through now, he's 4 for 23 since. I just wonder how, Jake Fraley is the Reds' best hitter of all the players they have right now against right-handed pitching, if he's 100%. But I thought he was at 70%. I'm starting to wonder if it's 40, 30%. And maybe that kind of gets David Bell off the hook, and you can play CES and Votto and keep a competent defense out there, because that's really kind of the situation that we're in.
Yeah, and Sear's been excellent too. Listen, I think, and again, when you get down to 10 games left in the season, Nick, it's hard to find ways to which you can kind of sprinkle in guys each and every. Golly, Michael Roth. This guy is the most wealthiest guy. Michael Roth is just made of money. 3 things are true in life. 1, Phillips goatee greater than young Verlander. Number 2, my Mr. Redleg handlebar mustache won't be shaved until the Reds flame out. Good luck keeping that in shape. Number 3, I'm back on X at Michael Allen Rolfe. MICHAEL ALANROLF. Trace promised to rebuild a followers if I made a new account. Let's go Reds. I'm going to follow you right after this show.
Michael, put it back in there again. I just copied and pasted that. And
go follow Michael if you're a fan of the show, because Michael supports this show like nobody's business. Thank you, Michael. Michael Allen Rolfe at Michael Allen Rolfe. We'll pump you up, Mike. CES, here's the thing with the 10 games left really quickly that I was trying to say before Moneybags Michael got in the way, is this. I don't know how you sprinkle around lineups right now, because I was even going to say you could give Steer a day off a little bit, because he's kind of been a guy that's, say it or not. I know, but he's not been, he got a double tonight, so it's like, I don't know. Yeah, 3 hits, I know. It's like, I don't know. What do you do? But here's the thing. Jake Fraley's a guy that could get 3 hits tomorrow too, though. Like, when Jake Fraley came back, he carried this team a little bit offensively for a minute. So I know I'm preaching to the choir a little bit here. I'm just saying there's a guy in this lineup right now that me and you both love that he's got to play better, Nick. You know what I'm talking about, brother. He's got to play better. He's got to play better. And if he can't play better, then something has to give. And the only reason that I'm giving him a pass time and time again is because of the position he plays. And if Matt McClain was on this team right now, I'm not sure Elly De La Cruz is playing that many baseball games. But he's not. Matt McClain's not on this team right now. And I just think he plays such a premium position that it's really hard to ask someone else to play it like Marte. When Marte, like it or not, he's booting balls too. He got very fortunate tonight not to have an error. Marte did, because the ball bounced luckily right to his hand, and he was able to recover and make a throw to first. But I don't feel extremely great about this rookie left side of the infield right this second. I think they can make great plays. And let me be very clear, Nick. I'm not panicking on the long-term future of what these guys can be. It's just that if you're gonna shrink wrap this into a microcosm of 10 games, and you want your best lineup out there, Elly has to play better. That's just where I'm at with
it. There's no conversation though right now against right-handed pitching unless Matt McClain comes back, because it would be reckless with some of the starting pitchers that you're putting out there to have an infield defense of CES at third base, Noelvi Marte at shortstop, Jonathan Indy at second base, and Joey Votto at first base. That's reckless. That's not good for your pitchers. It's not going to create more runs. It might feel good. You might see that lineup and go, ooh, that looks really good. But then when there's 6 booted balls and you give up runs that way, it doesn't feel as good. So there's no conversation unless Matt McClain comes back.
I understand that, but I'm going to tell you that the average there's going to be fans, and I can't say that they're completely wrong, that are going to say, well, Elly's booting balls already. And I get what you're saying. I get it. I understand that he can get to balls. I understand all that, but he's got to start making these routine plays. Like, and you know what? I'm not saying he can't. If you're not going to hit at the plate, you got to be perfect in the field. You can't be bad at the plate and booting balls out in the field. Now, Connor Phillips didn't allow that to snowball, thankfully, but I'm just saying. And listen, this isn't a knock on Elly by any stretch of the imagination, people. That kid can be a superstar. He's 21 years old. Get over yourself if you think that he's a bust. Like, give him some time. Give it some time. Let's not sit here and dog on one of our young, up-and-coming, possible future superstars on this team just because he's having a little bit of a rough patch of it when he's 21 years old, just got called to the big leagues. Yes, did things get a little overhyped at the beginning? How could it not? How is it not supposed to? The guy came up. He was supposed to be the best prospect that the Reds have had since you can possibly ever remember. And what did he do? You can say whatever you want. And I'll say it again. Without Elly in the 2-week stretch of what he did for this baseball team, there wouldn't be a conversation right here on September 18th. So we can't forget about the past either. It's just as bad. He's been playing bad lately, but we can't forget about what he did when he first came up here. It goes both ways. All right. I don't know if you have anything else to add before we get to Renfroe.
We got some breaking news. Fernando Cruz will be starting tomorrow. Love that.
Jinx. Fernando Cruz is good. He's good. These guys are. You know, I know they don't have any names. I get that they're not superstars. But if Fernando Cruz has his stuff, that dude's nearly unhittable. Like that split finger he throws, fork ball as Chris Welsh will call it, incredible. It's an incredible pitch. Now, if he's not throwing it for a strike and he has command issues, well, you know, it can get a little hairy, but that's how it can go for anybody. All right. Renfroe, you want to pour one out for him? What do we want to do? We want to have a moment of silence? You want to do that? We do that. All right, you ready? Let's have a moment of silence for Hunter Renfroe.
Thank you for beating out that double play to beat the Cubs.
All right, that's enough for Hunter. Yeah, I mean, he legged out the double play. Without that, I mean, who knows what would happen? Who knows? But that's it. That's all I got for Hunter Renfroe. What else do you have to add?
I thought it was the right move. I thought you gave him enough time, and I think you saw enough. There's not enough time to try to salvage that. And then when you don't have a left-handed pitcher for the next 7 games, you had to make the move. And I'm gonna ride that Stuart Fairchild train. I think he's a valuable player. I think especially when he's like that last guy on the bench, I think he's perfect for that role. He. One thing about Stuart Fairchild is not only is he a fast runner, but outside of TJ Friedel, I was looking at there's a stat Fangraphs base running stat, which it includes everything that goes into base running. Still in bases, obviously you get negative value for caught stealing and getting picked off and going first to third and those kind of things. Stuart Fairchild's ahead of Ellie De La Cruz in that stat. So TJ Friedel's the only one that has better. Now, Ellie De La Cruz is still well above average in that stat.
Right.
So I'm not saying like he's been a negative by any means, but Stuart Fairchild has been a really, really good base runner. So that's just nice to have that on the bench. And yeah, I mean, I love the move to try to pick up Hunter Renfroe. I think you also have to put yourselves in the shoes of when that move was made. We had no idea if Joey Votto, Jake Fraley, and Jonathan India were even going to play at that point.
Right.
I think there was some other stuff going around too, right? I can't even remember, but we were like, I mean, TJ Hopkins was getting starts when Hunter Renfroe was picked up. So credit to the Reds for taking on that money, and then credit to the Reds for saying, "Hey, didn't work out. We're going to eat it." I think that this is the kind of good baseball decisions that you want your organization to make, and I think it's the kind of decisions that should give a lot of people some hope going forward into this offseason.
Yeah, if anything, it proved that the front office is willing to spend a little money when needed. I'm not saying that you should, like I said, bow down to the folks that are the ownership group, but no harm, no foul unless you care about money. I mean, that's all it comes down to. Just dollars and cents. And again, certainly don't just want to waste money, but at the same time, you just never know what you're going to get. Hunter Renfroe could have came in here and been the best player, best hitter on the Reds for a month and a half, and we would have called it the best move that Nick Kral's made, and he's made some incredible moves, but it just didn't work out. And the good news is there was nothing lost in return, as you mentioned before. Prospects are not lost for quite honestly what could happen to anybody at the deadline. It's just why I just don't love the deadline. I mean, I do think you can make your team better at the deadline, but I think it's so overvalued. I really do. I think the trade deadline is just so overhyped. And I'm not here to say that it can't be important. Okay, there's like a piece or two that can make a difference, yes, but like you are who you are a little bit, right? Like outside of getting maybe a big time like a Verlander type starting pitcher or maybe a big time closer that you can use either as your setup guy or fix a hole at the closer spot. It's hard for me to believe that the Reds had an opportunity at the deadline to really fix any significant holes that they were going to have. So I know I'm going back to the deadline. I don't mean to do that, but that's just kind of where I'm at with that. All right, let's talk about what's next. Obviously, the Twins, we have 2 games left with those guys. And before we get into the NL wildcard, I do want to discuss the attendance. So before that, we'll do the who, what, when, where, and why, Nick.
All right, so tomorrow again, 6:40. Kenta Maeda going for the Twins. Some good news. He's got a 5.64 ERA over his last 6 starts. He's allowed 7 home runs in his last 30 innings pitched. So not the kind of numbers you want coming to Great American Ballpark. Hopefully the fellas can get it rolling. Maeda's got a career 4.62 ERA and 4 starts against the Reds. Last time he pitched at Great American Ballpark, he gave up 3 home runs. One of those was to Jonathan India. And, I did not have time while I was live on the show to make a new graphic. So I have Ben Lively, but he's still going to get in the mix. Probably is going to pitch the most innings tomorrow. And Ben Lively, he's pitched okay. There's 2 times since he's come back, both in bulk appearances. Didn't start either one of those. 3 earned runs in each of those 2. But I tell you what, Ben Lively, if you take out, and I know it's you can't really do it this way, but I'm going to do it. If you take out that 13 earned runs he allowed at Wrigley, his ERA drops below 4 to 3.97. So I think Lively has pitched a lot better than like maybe what his numbers look like. And I think pretty much anyone who has watched him this year probably agrees with that. But yeah, I love going with Cruz first, though. I like what they've done with Lively. I think that this has set him up for the best success here. Sam Moll will also be fresh tomorrow. So you can maybe start Cruz. You can find Moll a good spot against some lefties, then maybe go to Lively and just can really set up. And especially like if you're able to jump on Maeda early,
Right.
you know, and you're maybe not playing from behind. You're kind of look, if you're pitching Ben Lively for 3 or 4 innings, you're expecting to give up a couple runs. Let's be honest. So you try to get off to a better start with Cruz and maybe Moll. And I like working backwards for sure. I wish they would have done that with Luke Weaver. I wish they would have done that with a couple other guys they tried this year, but at least they're trying it now with Ben Lively, and I think it's the best way to go.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'll tell you why I don't mind it, because I think if they get ahead in the game, then David Bell's decision-making is going to be different. He's going to go all in. Like I said before, I think he's going to go all in certain games and try to win games based off his bullpen and use his studs back-to-back, burn them all, give them all a rest the very, very next day, and then come back and hopefully have them the following day. And if you're down early in this game, you're going to probably ask Ben Lively to go out there, and you don't care how many runs he gives up. You're going to have him go out there and eat innings if they're down 3 or 4 runs early in the game. And I know people think I'm crazy for saying you should punt on games when you're down 3 or 4 runs. But the Reds really aren't in a position where they can try to leverage a lot of these arms that they have that you would deem as good in the bullpen when your win probability is low. I mean, you just can't do it. Yeah, you might want to hope you can come back from a 3 or 4 run deficit, but it would just be really dumb, in my opinion. It would be such a waste to try to go and burn guys that ultimately you might not end up coming back regardless. So I'm all in. I'm all for in these spots, Nick, and they're going to have to do this more than once a week. They're going to probably have to do this maybe twice a week at least, where they can use openers or whatever term you want to use, and then after the openers are done and you get to the Livelies of the world, you can make the decision at that point how many innings you think that they need to give you. Lively might only need to give you 2 innings tomorrow if you got a 4-1 lead, right? And then from there you start to go down. You hammer the Laws, the Jabos, the Sims. You obviously already threw Cruz and Moll, and then you got in this position where you have Diaz as well. So we'll see how it ultimately winds up, but I think this team right now they're gonna rely like they have all year on the bullpen. It's just a matter of when do we want to use those guys. All right, last thought here before we kind of move it into the NL wildcard discussion, and we'll end the night on that, is this. I don't want what I said to get misconstrued and what I meant by the whole attendance thing, Nick. I don't know if you've seen what I said or not, but I just asked the basic question, which was, am I allowed to be upset when you have a team that is a half game out of a playoff spot? They were projected to win 64.5 games. You beg and plead all the time that this is a baseball town and that you got to have a winning product in order to want to go support blah, blah, blah. And you have it, and all I get are excuses from every other which angle there possibly is. And I am not a gatekeeper. I don't care what you do. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your money. If you can't get down to the ballpark, you don't want to go down to the ballpark, by all means, that's fine. I just don't want to hear about how this is a baseball town, quite honestly, or a sports town, or whatever town you want to see. When you want to brag about how good something is, I genuinely just don't want to hear it when you have what looks like 5,000 fans in the stadium with 6 games left in the entire season at home on, oh, by the way, the last 6 games of maybe the best player that you've ever seen in your generation. That's the end of it. It's the end of it. You want to convince yourself that Joey Votto is going to come back, be my guest, okay? You want to put the blinders on? Woo, 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 woo. I think Joey Votto is going to be here forever. He's not. I love Joey Votto as much as the next person. This isn't about about anything other than the fact of this. That was a little embarrassing. That's how I feel. I'm not suggesting that you have to go down there. It's just a little embarrassing. And you know what? I'll tell you this right now. I get this, and I see it in the comments, and every single person wants to be like, well, are you at the game? Are you at the game? Are you at the game? You don't realize, and this isn't like a you thing. I need to be careful what I say here because this isn't about like people not respecting or something. Like, I would prefer to go to some of these games, folks. I turned down tickets to go to the Brave series on that Friday night City Connect because ultimately I think it's my duty when I asked Nick Kirby to do a show every single night to be on here as much as I possibly can. I'm already off of here because of business things that I have to go do from time to time. But ultimately, I want to be right here talking to all of you and enjoying this chat because I genuinely have come to love this. And I love this chat. But if it means that I have to go down to the ballpark because that's what that seems to be the only way to support this team from a time to time, then I guess that's what I'll start to do as well. Because at the end of the day, I am disheartened when I hear people tell me that if the Reds ever get in contention, this place will be packed. I know it's Monday. You can give me all the excuses you want to give me. Kids are back in school. You can say that the Bengals game was last night. You can give me all of them. And there's some merit to all of it. But guys and girls, we're talking about like 5,000 people. Okay? If you think for your right mind that anywhere that has a relative pulse as a quote-unquote sports town or a quote-unquote baseball town is going to have 5,000 people at it with 5 games left, with the generational player that has the end of his career looming ahead of him, and on top of that, they are a half game out of a playoff spot, it's a hard sell for me. It's just disappointing. It doesn't mean that I think we have terrible fans. It doesn't think, in fact, I know we don't. I look at the podcast numbers, and hell, there's 2 or 3 Red shows in the top 100 charts. I'm not naive here. I understand that we have great fans. I understand what the Castellinis have said. I understand all of that. It's just that it's just a little disheartening to see that. And maybe I'll be wrong, but I looked at the ticket prices for this weekend against the Pirates, and you'd think that the Reds are 20 games out of a playoff spot. I mean, you would. You can get tickets for like $10. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic. And maybe I'm being like a gatekeeper. And maybe you're saying that I'm too high on my horse. And you know what? I try not to be that. Like, I was poor. I was raised on food stamps, if we're being honest. I was raised by a single mom. I get that there's not abundance of money. I understand all of that. This isn't about me telling you that you should have to be there because if you're not there, you're not a good fan. It's just the overall, the big picture. That's just seems unacceptable, I guess, is all. That's all. And it doesn't mean it's an individual thing. I'm not trying to pick fights with certain people. Like, did you go to the game? Well, then you're a bad fan. Did you go to the game? You're a bad fan. Jeff says that the attendance tonight said it was 15,000. Okay, so that make me feel like, yeah, there was about 8,000 people there, maybe less. So we'll see how it goes. I understand money doesn't grow on trees. I'm not trying to sound like a gatekeeper guy high on his horse, but I think it's a fair question, Nick. That if this was in St. Louis, I don't know, name every other big baseball town there is.
Someone in the chat said Milwaukee, and yeah, I think that's probably probably a more fair comp of.
But does Milwaukee? Does Milwaukee? I guess here's my only pushback to all this, and I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. Does Milwaukee walk around beating their chest? This is a baseball town. Like, that's all I'm saying. Let's not sit here and beat our chest and act like this is a baseball town when we got 5,000 people left with 6 games left. That's all. That's all. Call it a challenge. Call it whatever you want. But we got a 3-game series against the Pirates at home, and I can guarantee you right now it will have huge playoff implications, and it will be the last 3 games that Joey Votto ever plays in a Reds uniform. It's a weekend series. If it's not sold out, what am I to believe? That's all. What am I to believe? All right. Yeah, I know I sound like an asshole. I know I sound like an arrogant asshole, but at some point someone has to say it. I'm not just going to sit around and act like that's like a normal, like this is a normal thing that would happen in any other baseball town.
Yeah, I would say, look, it was a little disheartening when he saw the first crowd shots, and how much this team has fought all year, and the fact that they're even in this spot is ridiculous in some ways, and certainly would have liked to seen some more support. I mean, maybe, I don't know, to give a little bit more perspective, they did outdraw Miami tonight. I know Miami's definitely not a good baseball town, but they did
Right.
outdraw Miami, not by a whole lot, but they did. And in 2012, the Reds' first weekday game of their last homestand was a Tuesday night. They only drew 18,000. That team won 97 games. So, I don't know. I mean, I would definitely like to see more people there. I think the team deserves to have more people there. I know
Right.
Cincinnati does have a lot of challenges because it's a very large market where it makes it hard for people to come on weekdays. Because a lot of people don't realize a lot of Reds fans are out in West Virginia, all the way down in Tennessee, Indiana. I mean, it's a
No, you're
long
right.
drive to Cincinnati. So that's the only thing I would add. But I agree with you. I don't necessarily think I feel like there's venom towards Reds fans or anything like that. But it did make me a little sad to see a somewhat empty ballpark, with just how much this team has fought all year. But I'll be in Cleveland next week, and I'll be loud as hell. Who knows? Maybe the Reds will be clinching next week in Cleveland.
That'd be cool.
I didn't even think that was a. I thought these games were going to be absolutely meaningless. I was like, yeah, I could probably get like $2 tickets. I still probably get $2 tickets, but
Yeah.
for a very different reason.
Yeah, I'm going to. I mean, like, listen. I know. I'd like to be down there more. I'm just not going to miss this show. I'm just not. Like, there's too much sweat equity in this show to miss it a ton just to be at the ballpark. I miss being at the ballpark a lot. I want to be at the ballpark. So next year, I'm going to try to figure out a way to where I can have like a studio right next to the ballpark. Hopefully something along those lines. I don't know what that looks like, but that's my goal. I'm going to go down there and figure all that out. But that's for next year. This is for this year. And again, I don't want to sound like just a whiny baby because I'm really not that. Like I said before, I understand. I understand individually why some might not be able to make it. From now on, I'll be honest with you, I'm just not going to buy into the fact when people beat their chest and they tell me that this is one of the best baseball towns there is when that's what happens. I'm just not going to do it. Like, I'm going to be a realist enough to say, if we want to earn that credit, if we want to have that, if we want to boast about that, then we got to be better in those types of spots. We need to be better down there. Because I really do think that that crowds can influence games. I really do. Maybe you think that I'm not. I really do think packed ballparks can influence games. Big Corey, the last super chat of the night, hopefully says, Big Corey, the Viking helmet guy, Nick Kirby. Maybe I should join you and bring the MAGIC. Laugh out loud. Anyway. NL wildcard, Nick. I don't mean to put us on a Debbie Downer here when we had a humongous win. I'm trying to build us back up.
Well, I do have one more point before we get to that. Something I found interesting about this game. Actually, two more things. Real quick. Shout out Noelvi Marte. That dude is playing incredible baseball. I cannot believe how good he looks. Every single night he's doing something to help this team win. I just felt like he deserved a shout out. Reds bullpen is in a really, really good spot. I am excited as hell about the spot the Reds bullpen is in. Obviously, 9 relievers now with Alex Young. Sawnex.com, I tweeted out every single one of them have a above average or better than average ERA among the MLB average. So that's just really cool to see. 3 days off now in a row for Alexis Diaz, Lucas Sims, and Ian Jabot. 3 days off in a row, and the schedule is favorable for this team. 2 games on, off Thursday. 3 games on, off Monday. 2 games on, off Thursday. 3 games. Right. So they don't play more than 3 games in a row the rest of the season. And I think these days that you were able to get Diaz, Sims, and Jabot rest are just huge for this team. Really, I mean, there might be a situation where these guys do work back-to-back days, and you were down 3 or 4 runs, and you're gonna kind of give the game away. But I don't think there has to be a whole lot of those situations. I think you can almost go for it and maybe even be a little bit more aggressive when you're trailing than normally they would. I think you might get in a situation where, hey, we'll go Jabot, Sims, and Diaz, even though we're down 2 runs in the 7th inning, because we can. Because we have these off days. I just think that's really huge for this team right now. And I just, oh man, when they got that's what you were dead on. That hit by Votto, those 2 extra runs was just huge to give Jabot and Diaz that extra rest.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, tomorrow they got everybody at their disposal that you'd want. And we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, we start counting them down. I don't know. I don't know how many more you need, but it feels like 6. Maybe 7. 7 would be unbelievable. Feels like 6.
6
is questionable.
I mean, 6 should, because right now the Cubs are projected at 84.2, Diamondbacks projected 84.5, Giants 81.9, Marlins are 83.5. So I mean, you would have to, if you get to 85 wins, you're going to really have to get screwed to miss the playoffs, and especially because the Reds hold the tiebreakers on the Cubs and the Diamondbacks. That's
Right.
why if they didn't hold those tiebreakers, then I'd say, yeah, maybe they do have to get to 86. But the fact that they hold the tiebreakers over the 2 highest teams of those right now, I think 85 probably gets them in. But again, we'll feel very different 2 days from now. Hopefully not about the Reds, but might about the other teams, because who knows? Maybe the Giants are going to roll off 3 in a row, and the Diamondbacks will lose 3 in a row. And it can change really quick, and that's what makes this time of the year so much fun, because there's no large samples to let things even out. Baseball is not meant to define a team based on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. It's meant over 162 games, and that's what makes the playoffs fun. Does this team look like, if they get into the playoffs, they have a chance of moving on? Not really, but you have to win 2 to move on. I mean,
Right.
So the Rockies just won 3 in a row against the Giants. Anything is possible.
All right, Kevin Garnett. All right, one final time here. The NL wild card. The Arizona Diamondbacks currently hold the 2nd spot within the 3 that exist. They are a half game up on the Cincinnati Reds, followed by the Chicago Cubs. The Marlins are a half game back from that last spot, and the San Francisco Giants are sitting behind them. Then Tuesday's games. Probable starters just announced. Fernando Cruz will pitch tomorrow, 6:40 p.m. at Great American Ballpark against the Twins, Maeda. And then at 6:40, the Marlins, Garrett will face the Mets, Lucchesi. I don't know how to say these dudes' names. I need to start playing MLB The Show more. 7:40 p.m., the Cubs, Assad faces the Pirates. We don't know. And at 9:40, the Giants don't know, and the Diamondbacks are pitching Gallen. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know this. Call me blind faith, call me stupid optimistic, but boy, I just think this team has some magic. They just have it. I don't know what it is. They were supposed to be dead a long ago, folks. They were supposed to be dead long ago, and they're just not. They just won't go away. This magic carpet ride continues to just keep flying higher and higher and higher, and we'll see how far it can go, Nick. But I just do want to say, as I sound like a little whiny baby about 20 minutes ago complaining about there being 5,000 people at the stands, the chat, this group of people that watches this show on a nightly basis has been unbelievable, incredible. This Reds team, Nick, has brought us more joy than I probably have had watching a professional franchise, in quite some time. So it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. You keep saying it, and I'll say it again. We get to do this one more night when it means something, Nick. We get to do this one more night. And I think that's all we've been asking for the past month. And by my God, buddy, it's looking like we're going to get to do it for a couple more nights at least.
Yeah, what a ride. Is it time?
I think it's time. I think it's time for a little Nick on Nick crime.
6 more Nick on Nick crimes, and should we do a countdown meter? 6 more.
Oh man, I think next year we have a chance to do some elite stuff. I mean, I really do. There's a whole bunch of things I have planned in my brain that are just really cool, but there's a lot going on right now with Chatterbox. We'll see where it ultimately ends up going. But as always, there's about 90,000 shows that you can check out. One of them is Chatterbox Clicker. You should probably check that out. It's with Coach Kyle Kasky. He's a coach in the NFL for quite some time. He breaks down Bengals film. Those are Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. Maybe you'll learn something. And then there's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman. Pretty much it's been Off the Bench with Trace Fowler for the short interim here. I'm doing my best, but I'm going to tell you right now, your boy is running on fumes. He's running on fumes. I'm trying my best. That's from 10 to 12 every single day, Monday through Friday. But listen, we're in a position where we never thought we'd be. Soak it up, live it up, dream it up. I want you to do it, buddy. Do it, buddy. I don't do it, buddy, okay? That'd be bad. That'd be really bad. I want you to call a buddy and tell a friend that Joey Votto is playing probably his last 5 games in a Reds uniform at Great American Ballpark. You don't have to go to the game, obviously, but maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know. Feels more likely that it's going to be his last 5 games in Great American Ballpark. I'm going to find a way to get down there. Maybe I'll just have to do a show on my phone with Nick outside the stadium. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to have to go down there. I'm going to have to go down there because otherwise people are going to call me frauds. And you know what I'm not? I'm not a fraud. I'm not a fraud. By God, I might be dumb, but I'm not a fraud. You know why I'm not a fraud? Because I'm a Reds fan. We love all of you very, very much. Go Reds. You thought that I wasn't going to dunk a basketball? You thought I wasn't going to dunk a basketball?
I was getting worried.
You thought I wasn't going to dunk a basketball, did you, chat? You thought I wasn't going to dunk one? Tell me the truth, Brad. Tell me the truth, Brad. Some may say I forgot. I didn't forget. I didn't forget. Here we go. Athlete.